Welcome back, everyone. Tonight's story is It Hurts, It's My First Time Tonight. The rancher did it all and realized it was just a joke. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Let's get started. The night rolled across the Montana plains like a deep blue wave, quiet and endless. The wind brushing against the tall grass with a whispering hum. The stars shone above the Coleman Ranch, scattered across the sky like silver dust. Inside the main barn, the faint glow of a lantern flickered against the wooden walls. Ethan Cole stood there, sleeves rolled up, dirt on his forearms, tightening a wire fence that had been broken by the last storm. He was a man of few words, hardened by years of work, but tonight carried a strange sense of anticipation. For weeks, he'd been waiting on his new ranch hand to arrive. Someone who was supposed to help with the upcoming season. Her name was Lily Parker, 24, raised in Denver, with more experience in city cafes than cattle corrals. Ethan had laughed when he first read her application. Most newcomers lasted a day or two, maybe 3 if they were stubborn. Still, something about her letter, the way she wrote about wanting to prove herself, made him agree to give her a chance. When the pickup truck finally rolled into the dirt driveway, headlights cutting through the mist, Ethan wiped his hands and stepped outside. The door opened, and out stepped Lily, small-framed, dressed in brand-new boots that looked too clean for the mud she was about to face. Her hair was tied back under a straw hat, and her eyes, wide and nervous, met his. "You must be Mr. Cole," she said, forcing a confident smile. "Call me Ethan," he replied, voice steady. "And welcome to real work." They walked toward the barn, where the sound of restless horses echoed under the rafters. The air smelled of hay and dust. Lily stared around, clearly overwhelmed by the scale of everything. The tools, the ropes, the heavy saddles that looked twice her weight. Ethan handed her a rope and said, "Let's see what you can do. We'll start simple. Tie a lead around that post." She nodded eagerly, but her hands trembled as she tried. The rope slipped, tangled, and burned her palm slightly. She winced. "It hurts," she murmured under her breath, trying to laugh it off. "It's my first time tonight." The words hung in the air, and the stable fell silent for half a second before one of the ranch hands snickered from behind the hay bales. Ethan tried not to smile, shaking his head. "You'll get used to it," he said. "Pain's just how the ranch says hello." She nodded, blushing, determined to continue despite the sting in her hands. Her nervous energy filled the quiet space between them. He showed her how to loop the rope correctly, how to keep tension steady and her grip firm. She listened carefully, biting her lip each time she messed up, her face glowing with effort. The horses stomped restlessly nearby, and dust rose under their boots. Time stretched slowly, hour by hour, as she practiced under Ethan's watchful gaze. He had seen dozens of rookies before, but there was something different about this one. She didn't quit when things got hard. By 9 o'clock, the sky outside had turned black, lit only by the cold white light of the moon. Lily had tried to saddle the young mare twice and failed both times. The horse snorted, kicking at the ground in protest. Ethan stepped beside her and said quietly, "You're rushing it. Calm her first. Let her know you're not scared." Lily looked at him, sweat streaking her temple, then turned back to the horse and began to whisper softly, her hand brushing the mare's neck. Slowly, the horse settled and she tried again, this time with success. Ethan crossed his arms and smiled faintly. "Not bad for a first-timer," he said. She laughed weakly, breathing hard. "You make it look easy." He shook his head. "It's never easy. You just learn to stop flinching." For the next hour, he taught her the rhythm of movement, the way the horse responded to tone, to patience, to control. Every time she got something right, her face lit up like a sunrise, a mix of pride and disbelief. She was learning the language of the ranch, one bruise at a time. By midnight, Lily's jeans were caked in mud, her gloves torn, and her shoulders sore from pulling the reins. Still, she refused to quit. Ethan brought her a bottle of water and leaned against the stall gate, watching her catch her breath. "You did good," he said finally. "Most people would have run off after the first hour." She looked up at him, eyes bright with exhaustion. You really thought I couldn't do it, didn't you? He smiled. I thought you'd try. But trying and lasting are two different things. She grinned faintly, brushing the hair from her face. Well, I'm still here, she said. The lantern's light flickered across her face, making her look almost defiant. Ethan studied her for a moment. Not just her stubbornness, but the quiet strength underneath it. The kind that reminded him of why he'd stayed on this land his whole life. Outside, the wind carried the sound of coyotes across the hills. Get some rest, he said, finally turning toward the door. Tomorrow we start before sunrise. She nodded slowly, her voice low. It hurts, she whispered again with a tired laugh. But I'll be ready. The morning sun crept over the horizon, washing the plains in shades of gold and orange. The ranch slowly came alive with the sound of engines, hooves, and distant laughter. Ethan was already awake. Coffee steaming in his calloused hand, his eyes scanning the corral where Lily was trying to saddle the mare again. She had woken before dawn, refusing to be the city girl who couldn't keep up. Her movements were stiff, her muscles clearly aching, but she worked through the pain in silence. Ethan watched from a distance, quietly impressed by her determination. By breakfast, the ranch crew had gathered around the mess table. The smell of bacon and brewed coffee filled the room. The men teased Lily about her first night battle, making jokes about the rope burns on her hands. You sure you're not allergic to hard work? One of them laughed. She rolled her eyes and shot back. At least I'm still standing. Ethan smirked from the end of the table, hiding his amusement. The banter was rough, but she handled it well. Better than he expected for someone so new to ranch life. When the meal ended, the men headed out for the cattle run, and Lily grabbed a saddle to follow. Ethan stopped her at the gate. You're not ready for that yet, he said firmly. You'll stay and handle stable duty. Her expression dropped. I can do more, she insisted. He shook his head. You can, just not yet. His tone wasn't cruel, but it carried finality. Frustrated but obedient, she nodded and turned toward the barn, muttering something under her breath that made him smile as he walked away. Hours later, while Ethan and the team were miles out rounding up cattle, the ranch buzzed with unexpected activity. A pickup truck pulled in, a group of vloggers and friends Lily had invited weeks ago before she'd even met Ethan. They carried cameras, drones, and equipment, laughing loudly as they waved to her. Ready for round 2 of your City Girl Ranch Challenge? One of them called out. Lily froze. She'd forgotten all about the collaboration. She hesitated, but part of her wanted to show them how much she'd improved since last night. As the cameras rolled, she began demonstrating how to clean stalls, lift feed sacks, and even brush the horses. Her friends exaggerated every move for entertainment, cracking jokes, adding commentary, and laughing every time she stumbled. They replayed her mistakes from last night's footage, adding text overlays like, It hurts, episode 1. Even though she laughed along awkwardly, a part of her felt uneasy. She knew Ethan wouldn't approve. Still, she pushed the thought aside, determined to prove she could handle the work while entertaining her small online audience. By the time Ethan returned that afternoon, covered in dust and sweat, the crew was already huddled around a phone, laughing uncontrollably. He frowned and walked over. What's so funny? He asked. One of the ranch hands turned the screen toward him. On it played Lily's new upload, her video titled, It Hurts. It's my first time tonight, City Girl versus the ranch. Ethan's jaw clenched as he watched himself teaching her, snippets of their private moments edited with sarcastic captions and dramatic music. The laughter around him stung more than the wind ever could. He looked across the yard and saw Lily standing near the stables, realizing what had just happened. Her face went pale as their eyes met. She ran toward him, stumbling over her words. Ethan, wait, I can explain! But his expression didn't change. You filmed that? He asked quietly. I didn't mean it like that, she said. It was supposed to be lighthearted, a vlog, nothing serious. He took a slow step closer. Nothing serious? His voice dropped lower. You turned this place, these people, me, into a joke. Her breath caught in her throat. The crew had gone silent. Even the horses seemed still. Ethan turned away, walking toward the corral. "Delete it," he said flatly. "And if you still want to stay here, you'll start earning respect the hard way." Lily's throat tightened, but she nodded. That night, she sat alone in her small cabin, staring at her phone screen. Comments flooded in, some cheering her bravery, others mocking her clumsiness. Slowly, she pressed delete. The video vanished. The silence afterward felt heavier than the laughter ever did. Outside, thunder rolled across the horizon, promising rain. The next morning, the storm broke over the plains. The wind howled, rattling windows, and the rain fell in sheets. Ethan found Lily already outside, soaked, helping pull tarps over the hay and guiding frightened horses into shelter. Mud clung to her boots, her face streaked with rain, but she didn't stop. "You don't have to be out here," Ethan shouted over the wind. "I want to be," she yelled back, gripping the rope tightly. Together they fought the storm for hours, saving what they could. By the end, both were drenched, breathless, and laughing through exhaustion. When the rain finally eased, Ethan looked at her. The same girl who had once flinched at a rope burn, now standing strong against the storm. "You learned something after all," he said. She smiled faintly. "Yeah, that some lessons really hurt." For the first time, he laughed openly. The tension between them faded, replaced by something quieter, respect. The ranch, once just a job for her, now felt like a test she wanted to pass. She wasn't the same city girl who had arrived with clean boots and bright eyes. She had earned her place. Weeks later, the video world forgot her name, but the ranch never did. Lily became part of its rhythm. The morning coffee, the sunrise rides, the laughter shared after long days. Ethan no longer saw her as an outsider. She was one of them now, strong, stubborn, and loyal. One evening, as they watched the sunset blaze over the open land, Lily said softly, "Guess my first time wasn't such a joke after all." Ethan smiled, tipping his hat. "Out here, first times always hurt," he said, "but that's how you know they mattered."